Pasha Pyro, YNet7. Thank you for tuning the replay. So, in the last video, we talked about apathy and how it really is a lack of energy, right? And check that video out if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you for tuning in the replay. I'm just getting everything situated here. Today, what we're going to talk about is grief. We're going to discuss grief. And I call today's video The Living Dead, ? Grief. All right. Yeah, y'all know I'll be real weird with these titles, but they all kind of make sense by the end of the video. So let's get into it, okay? It's part 2 of the series. Go back to the book. Bam. Power versus Force. Pick yourself up a copy of this. Be advised. So, grief, right? I'm going to read this passage from it and go over some of my personal notes that I want to share with you guys. Like normal, been doing the same thing since the beginning. The only new thing is at the end of that, I'm going to pick a card out of the 8 coins tattoo tarot deck, and we're going to see how this all ties together for you, okay? So grief, this is the level of sadness, loss, and despondency. Most humans have experienced it for periods of time. But those who remain at this level live a life of constant regret and depression. This is the level of chronic mourning, bereavement, and remorse about the past. It is also the level of habitual losers and those chronic gamblers who accept failure as part of their lifestyle, often resulting in loss of jobs, friends, family, and opportunity, as well as money and health. Major losses in early life make one later vulnerable to passive acceptance of grief, as though sorrow were the price of life. Remember that line, as though sorrow was the price of life. In grief, one sees sadness everywhere. The sadness of little children, the sadness of the world conditions, the sadness of life itself. This level colors one's entire vision of existence. Part of the syndrome of loss is the notion of the irreplaceability of what has been lost or that which it symbolized. There is a generalization from the particular, so that the loss of a loved one is equated with the loss of love itself. At this level, such emotional losses may trigger serious depression or even death. Although grief is the cemetery of life, it still has more energy than apathy does. Thus, when a traumatized, apathetic patient begins to cry, we know they are getting better. Once they start to cry, they will begin to eat. So, again, pick the book up. I've been talking to you guys about it for a while. It's really something I'm enjoying reading. Now, it's discussing grief as sadness, loss, despondency. So we can see here that per my etymology dictionary, before 1200, grief was known as pain, torment. Later, it was sorrow, etc. But originally, it was pain or torment, right? Okay. So sadness, loss, despondency. Does everyone grieve? That's a good question, because I know when I lost my father, I really didn't feel nothing. You know what I mean? I was just there in support of everybody else. You see some people that they break down and they it's like they lose their whole life when they lose a loved one. And even though we're talking about people, most likely when you're talking about grief, you also could be talking about lifeless things such as materialistic possessions and or even pets. Okay, so remember that as we go through this story. So probably most people do grieve in their own way, right? um Maybe they throw themselves and they work to drown everything else out, you know what I'm saying? um but how many people do you know are stuck in grief, or do you know what it even looks like to be stuck in grief? Okay, so the past is and was at the same time, but it will never be again. So that could cause, as you can see up here, that could cause some people pain or torment or sorrow because they're focused on that irreplaceability factor, right? But the question I have for you is anything in life truly irreplaceable? It may not be the same, but is there anything in life that's truly irreplaceable? That is why I feel like you must enjoy what you have now. Not that it's truly irreplaceable, but that what you have now will never be the same again. That's why you enjoy every moment of every day. That's why people that know me know my saying is it's always the perfect day. And it's not just a saying. You say that to yourself and eventually you'll start to live it. So when you hear someone always talking about, like and when I read that part in the book, the part where it said, in grief, one sees sadness everywhere, such as the little children, the sadness of little children, the sadness of world conditions, the sadness of life itself. I think we all know somebody like that. I think we all know. I think we all know someone like that. You know, those are the people you need to share this video with. Those are the people you want to pull aside and watch this video with them. I appreciate your subscription, but those are the people that need this the most. And for those people in your life, this is why you need this video so that you can help deal with them because they're feeling like they lost something, right? They're seeing how they're connecting emotionally to everything sad in the world because they see how the little child lost their parents. They see how the homeless person lost everything they had and they're homeless. What they don't see, like, and when you look at that as it's always the perfect day, you see the potential as to everybody goes through what they need to go through when they need to go through it to become who they're supposed to be. You know, that's the reality of it. You're growing into who you're supposed to become, and without certain experiences, you can never truly relate and become certain things. So, there's a denial of some sort. Okay. So what you got to watch out for is this. This is what I think we need to look at with those people is when you hear someone always talking about how sad something is all the time, but they're talking about different things, different topics, but it's always about how sad it is. Like I said, they're focusing in on the sadness. Those people may actually be stuck in grief. And you may not have understood it before because you didn't know what being stuck in grief looked like. Of course, we know to think about the person when we know their family member just died or they just lost their cat or whatever. You kind of know or think more likely to be sympathetic or express empathy in that immediate time period. Remember, this is something that I've been running with for a little while for you guys. You focused on that moment, then it identifies as okay, this could be grief. This could be a grief moment for them. But the whole equation of grief, they may be going through grief a lot of the time and you not notice it. All right. So they could be stuck in grief. Now, I asked earlier, was there anything really irreplaceable? It may not be the same, but everything can be replaced. So enjoy what you have right now, because that's the magic of it. It's that it is right now what it is. Don't worry about it, the car. You know what I mean? So don't worry about the house. Just enjoy the moment you have now. Don't let the fear of losing something that you currently still have throw you into grief for it, right? Because before you even lost it, you'll be suffering apathy and you won't have the energy to actually do what's needed to keep it. You see what I'm saying? So if you start grieving over the possibility of losing it, you're going to then slip into apathy, which means you won't even have the energy to keep what you have. A wise person once said, you can't keep what you can't protect. So if you let grief, the fear of losing, allow you to fall into grief, you're going to eventually suffer apathy and not even have the energy to keep what you have, and you're going to lose it anyway. I get saying whatever you focus on, you attract. So by worrying about losing it, you actually lose it. Now, as far as the loved ones go, remember a couple videos ago, I was talking to you about how each person is like their own little pill that each other can take. You know what I mean? Come to when they want this energy or this vibe or need this in their life or get that from, you know, whatever. So what happens is now look how full circle that's come to grief. Okay. So you're being denied, right? Look at this. You're being denied this person as if they were pill form, right? So it's like you got cut off your addiction cold turkey, and now just like any other addict of a substance, you get angry, okay? And you want to start bargaining with yourself and or others, which is going back to a couple of videos ago when we were talking about treatment versus healing. So you can't be made whole now, you feel, because you don't have the pill, which was that person. So you're going through a detox. You know what I mean? It's like you're being stuck in rehab. So now that you can't bargain or get treatment that you're looking for, you suffer into depression and eventually you go into acceptance. Is this why you view some of us, some of you, some people you know, view all life's pleasures that they have as chores? How many people you know, they got the house of their dreams and then they complain about having to cut the grass, or they complain about having to pay the bill, the electric bill. They got they want to complain about the mortgage being what it is. You know, this is the house they wanted, and then they complain about everything. What about the car? They get the car they want. They complain about making a payment or the heating bill at the home, etc. You know what I'm saying? So, or the maintenance. You know, that's grief. You see what I'm saying? Because what it really is they're so focused on what it takes to actually keep this whatever, right? Person, place, or thing. So they don't suffer the denial of maybe how other people viewed them, or being able to go 200 miles an hour, or whatever it is to them. So then they'll fall in. They don't want to fall into anger if they're uncontrolled. So they don't have to worry about the treatment, just like a junkie, just like a drug addict. Whether it's a person, a place, or a thing, you can suffer grief if you begin to view the noun, the person, place, or thing, as pills that is actually treatment, when what you need to be focused on is being made whole at all times. It's being whole at all times. Then you never feeling that loss. You know, when you lose that person that was close to you, important to you, you should not be thinking it's a loss. You should be looking at what you've gained. You gained all the years and time and that y'all spent together, and energy and memories and lessons and all this stuff that you've accumulated, and you're too busy feeling like you lost something instead of seeing what you've gained, because the pill itself is no longer present. you feel like you've lost something. That's the definition of a drug. Remember, everybody doesn't share the same views. So, how many do you know have killed off who they are because of fear of the grief of losing who they want people to think they are? Look around you and make your own assessment. And like the book says here at the end, although grief is the cemetery of life, it still has more energy to it than apathy does. Thus, when a traumatized, apathetic patient begins to cry, we know they are getting better. Once they start to cry, they will begin to eat. Okay? So, to cry, the cry is a loud utterance of emotion, right? And yes, crying takes more energy than to be apathetic, because in apathy, you don't have the energy to do nothing. So, grief is higher than apathy, but it's less energetic than fear. So I appreciate you all. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure you tune in for the next one when we discuss fear. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this card, and we're gonna see what these cards talking about in respect to grief, because a lot more people than you think are living in grief, and you just don't know it. Like, it may look like they so happy on the outside. It may look like they have everything you want in your life. You might even be a little jealous of them or whatever, right? Because you think they got something that you can't get, don't have, whatever. You can get anything you put your mind to, as long as you have the energy, you're not in apathy, to go get it, to reach your hand out there for it and go get it. Check out the last video on apathy, and you'll find out that's all you need is the energy. Okay, let's shuffle these cards here, because they stuck out there feeling in a like they all alone. That's why there's people that on the outside look like they have it all, and they can't relate to you being happy with nothing, because I mean, not to say you have nothing, but let's say with less than what they think they got, and you happy as hell, but they looking at you like, oh, well, you ain't got this, you ain't got that, you must not be living. But you living because you ain't got all the headaches and burdens and time it takes. You know what I mean? They stuck working 25 hours of overtime a week to try and make sure they can make payments on stuff that they don't own yet, so they can ride around or have the big house on the block. I know people that had to have, they literally said, we need to have the best car on the block. You don't even own the house, you're renting the house. Why are you worried about having the best? Anyway, look, be happy, okay? Find joy, all right? Because they aren't really happy inside. They're standing out there on the end of the pier, and they feel all alone, because they want you to feel all alone, because they see the sadness in everything, right? So they're looking at you feeling like you should see sadness and not having what they think they have, but you're looking at it and seeing the joy of not having what you know they got, like payments and headaches and stress and aggravation, okay? So they're living in grief. And misery loves company, so don't let them suck you in to being miserable. You know what I mean? All right, so we ready for this card, and I just wanted to get that out there for you guys while we shuffle. So let's see what we talk about here in the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot deck. Card flipped by Pasha Paro. Let's see what we got going on here as it comes to grief. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle one more time, and we're gonna get to this. All right. Share this video with somebody you know that may be suffering with grief, or know somebody that's going around them that's going through grief, and we're gonna see what we got here. Okay, what we have here is the King of Wands. Wands has been pretty popular the last 2 episodes here. Let's see what we're talking about. So again, Wands is about action, goals. Let me get this out here for y'all. Hold on a second, because I'm going to give it to you like it is. So appreciate y'all taking the time. I want to make sure it's right so you understand everything, because this is for you. All right? So the Suit of Wands, for those that didn't catch the last video, is connected to the element of fire. All right. See the little flame on the wand and on the crown, right? So passion, creativity, desire, and struggle. The wand suit generally deals with our deepest passions and goals relating to self-improvement, creative development, goal setting, and emotional exertion. Each card in the suit of wands tells a story about taking on goals and setting out to achieve them. All right, so let's see what this king's talking about here. Peace, king. All right, here we go. So the King of Wands. Here's a card. Get a good look at that artwork. 8 coins tattooed tarot. The King of Wands is a leader first and foremost. He leads with strong communication skills and a powerful ability to unite his people on a common purpose. He aims his sights high, and with his incredible team building abilities, he appears to achieve amazing things with ease. The King of Wands is a young, handsome, athletic king. His thoughtful expression reminds us that he is wise, prepares perhaps beyond his years. The king's gaze is strong and his focus is intense. He is clearly entranced by the fiery wand that lights his path. He wears his noble garb and crown of flames comfortably as he has full confidence in himself. Focus your gaze on your goals, okay? You would like to achieve. Focus your gaze on the goals you would like to achieve and begin your plan to move forward. Embrace your strong leadership abilities and don't try to do everything yourself. Your communication skills and confidence will help you become the leader you must be to build your empire. Okay, so grief, the King of Wands, being a leader. All right. How goes the culture, goes the company. Okay. So if your leader is suffering in grief, then the followers will be in grief. All right. So be careful about who's leading you and what their true intentions are, because that's going to become your underlying goals. All right. Believe it or not, their strong communication skills is going to manipulate and mold your mind into going down the same path. Okay. So that's how you unite people in a cause. All right. So maybe some of those people are suffering in grief. Maybe some communities are in grief. Maybe some countries are in grief as a whole, because could it be their leadership? Could it be the fact that the Joneses principle, trying to be like the Joneses, normative social influence? You see? Whose goals are they really accomplishing? Right? Are you accomplishing your own goals? Do you recognize how far you've come? Do you really see what you have right now? Or are you worried about what you've lost or what you think you lost instead of seeing what you've gained? Because during the time it was there, it served a purpose and you grew. So if you grieve, are you not admitting like defeat and falling back levels that you've already become? Okay. So aim your sights high, and with your incredible team building abilities, right? That's what's going on here. So in grief, you're gonna withdraw. You know, you don't want to be around people. You're out here. Look, where was that? Let me get you that picture. Let me give you that image. You're out here. You're out here alone. You feel alone by yourself. You're grieving. Okay. You're in sorrow. You're in sadness. All right. Misery attracts company, but if misery attracts company, isn't that the wrong? What can that company build together? So the King of Wands, thoughtful expression, reminds us that you're wise beyond your years. You can't feel like you've lost what you've already had, because you've had it. So what did you gain from it? What did you gain from it? Because you already had it. You lost your father. You lost your mother. Maybe you never lost them, but they lost you when you were younger, right? You know what I'm talking about, those of you that's been affected by it. What did you gain from those experiences? That's who you are today. You would never be who you are today if that didn't happen. So stop feeling like it was a loss and start seeing how you gained what you gained from it. Okay? You got to be strong, focused, and intense. Grief is a distraction. Grief is a distraction from your goals because you feel helpless. You feel, what was it? Despondency. You feel lost. All right? You can't be focused and lost at the same time. You see the path here? This wand, like I said in the earlier, let me put it back up here in the big screen for you. Hold on. You see this? This wand is lighting his way. It's almost like a torch. Like you can walk through the darkness just waving the torch and you can see what's in front of you. It's like a torch. You know what I'm saying? You see the mind of that crown of flames? The mind is on fire, right? You see what I'm saying? Be the light. Grief is a distraction from the light. You're lost. You're in darkness. You don't see. You don't feel. All right? Know that. This card is kind of powerful if you look at this. So focus your gaze on your goals. Okay? You would like to achieve and begin to move forward. See, because grief and apathy, they have something in common. When you're in grief, you're almost not moving. So that's almost apathy, right? So focus on your goals and remember the videos that I put in the past where I mentioned Simon Sinek and the study they did about once you've been given a destination and they told you go there in a straight line and they throw a chair in front of you, you know, when you're focused on the destination, you overcome all obstacles, right? Nothing stops you. They can throw a chair in front of you, you're going to climb the chair, kick the chair out the way, go around the chair. They can throw a gate, you're going to climb the gate. They can put a river in there, you're going to sail across with a canoe. There's nothing going to stop you. But don't let grief bring you to a screeching halt. Like I said, grief, the living dead. Pasha Paro, it's YNet7. Thank you for tuning